Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the Doctor Interested webinar series. My name is Aldo Muki, and I am the Executive Director of Doctor Interested. Before we get started, just some housekeeping. Please make sure your cameras are on if you're comfortable so that we can make a sense of community. Please remember to be muted unless you're speaking and stay engaged through the chat. We would also like to acknowledge that this event is being organized in Mississauga, Ontario, which is situated on the traditional and treaty territories of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. As we gather virtually today, we encourage all of our participants to reflect on the lands they're joining from and to recognize the enduring presence and contributions of the Indigenous peoples across Turtle Island, now known as Canada, and the world. With that, I am very glad to introduce Marvin, who is going to be our speaker today, and he's going to share some experience that he has had in the biomedical science program at York University. So, Marvin has first of all left his influence as one of the most inspiring young voices in the province of Ontario. A TEDx speaker and a keynote speaker, he speaks in various schools across Ontario, inspiring students with his words of confidence, leadership, and the power of achieving your dreams. A first-year student in York University's Biomedical Sciences program, he hopes to one day pursue a career in medicine, while, of course, continuing his work as a keynote speaker. He hopes to make the point that science and story can not only coexist, but that the power of one voice can lead to positive change. So with that, I'm very happy to hand it over to Marvin to begin.
All right, thank you so much, Idil, for that amazing introduction. Just before I begin, I just need everybody to hear me clearly. So if you can hear me clearly, just type one in the chat so I know. So everybody that can hear me and is ready, just type one. Perfect. Okay, perfect. All right, so hello everybody. My name is Maiwand. I am a first year biomedical sciences student, and I'm here today to explain to you exactly what you need to know, not just for the first year of pre-medical, but also for biomedical sciences in particular. I'm also going to be going in deep on the actual one by one true experience of a first year. This is not just going to be what the teachers have told you. It's going to be a complete recollection of a person that is not just experiencing it, but truly living it. So without further ado, I'm going to begin. So do I? Okay. All right, so what to know about me? I am a TEDx speaker, of course, at TEDx McFerrin Boulevard, and that was a couple of months ago, I believe in June. And as you know, of course, I'm a first year biomedical sciences student at York University. And now going straight into it, right? There's a lot of key characteristics when you're looking at university. A lot of high school students sit there and think that university is going to be too easy or too hard, or they don't know what to expect, right? But here it is, the expectation versus the complete reality. Now, the expectation is that everything makes sense. As you could see on the first one, there is no space between makes and sense. I did that on purpose to articulate that university is not a perfect institution. It is a human being, you could call it, with flaws, with things to learn, and with experiences to delve in. You become an academic machine. So when you graduate high school, you become an academic machine. You stay motivated 24/7 and you never procrastinate just like you did in high school. But now the reality is, ladies and gentlemen, is that this cannot be further from the truth. The reality is that even in the first year of university, in the first year of pre-med, there is a heavy workload. Right now, I'm taking 5 classes, and in my senior year, I took 3 classes. So I took 3 classes and I had 2 spares, but right now it's back to back to back to back. There's not even time for me to think. So if you sit there and go, oh, I'm going to take it easy, it's not going to be that big of a deal. You'll look up one day, you'll have 3 missed tests, 4 missed assignments, you'll email the professor, and the guy's going to tell you, hey, man, I have 400 students in my class. I don't know your name. You had to stay on top of these things. Self-discipline is more important than intelligence. Guys, a lot of times people in university think that just because they could have, you know, glide past high school, or it was easy for them in high school, university is going to be the same thing. And once again, this cannot be further from the truth. Intelligence obviously does play a big part, but if you do not have the self-discipline to sit, to study, to articulate, to understand, to organize, to listen, and to go to these office hours, you will fall behind no matter how intelligent, how smart you are. And number three, I don't know why there's so many words that don't have any spaces in them, but that's fine. You will learn more about yourself in university than you actually do about biology. In the first year, guys, most of the time, most classes in the first semester, at least right now, they're just prerequisites. So it goes a little bit deeper off of the basis of 11th and 12th grade. So it's not necessarily the fact that you learn a lot about biology. What you learn coming into your first semester is not about your courses, it's about your preparation and your discipline. This is the time where you truly understand if you have the ability to pursue the second, the third, the fourth, and eventually medical school, or if all of this is too hard for you. And the answer to this question you will receive in the first year of pre-med university. All right, so what does first year actually feel like? I'm not sure if anybody here has gone to like one of these open houses for UFT or McMaster or even York. And I'm sure that these people try their best to kind of articulate that it's going to be a picture perfect scenario. Everything is going to be okay. There's going to be all these things. You're going to get 100% all of these avenues. But I'm here to be blunt with you guys. This is not the reality, because the reality is that in high school, right? In high school, if you look to your left and to your right, you see your friends, right? You probably sit with your friends, you probably sit with people that you've known for years and years and years. And if you go up to the teacher at the end of the class and you say, "Hey, teacher, do you know my name?" They're probably going to say, "Yeah, I do, Maiwand. I've known your name because I've been in classes with you. I've taught you." But in university, if you go to that same professor and say, "Hey, professor, do you know my name?" Guess what they're going to tell you, guys? They're going to tell you, "Sorry, man, I don't." Because they do not, because there's 400 people in a class, there's 500 people, 600 people in a class, and you are just one person in that hundreds and hundreds of people. There's also fast-paced lectures, so teachers will continue on whether you understand it or not, and it is your job to actively take your learning seriously. And what this means, guys, is that if there's a particular problem, a particular example that you don't know, if you do not raise your hand and say, "I do not know, please explain to me," obviously they will keep on going, and you will be left behind. Becoming independent as well. Unlike high school, if you're failing or doing bad in a course, this is very, very important. So I want everybody to really, really listen up here. It's that unlike high school, if you're failing or you're doing bad in a course, teachers will not ask you about it or will not help you because they do not know. And the only way that they will help you is if you take the effort to talk to them and go to office hours. And the last thing here is that just put yourself in the position of a teacher or of a professor. The professor is right here, right? And all the students are over here. So you are over here and you look down on the professor, and there's only one person. But to the professor, there's 400 people that they have to actively look to at the same time, which will cause them to not be able to single you out, whether you get 100% or a 0% on any one of your tests. And then now for the next slide. Okay. What not to do in your first year. Number one, please do not compare yourself to others. In any institution, in any university, There will always be people that are going to sit there and act like they know it all, right? Act like they know every single answer, act like they know every single test, every single question, act like their average is 100% off of rip. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, is that even in the first semester, if you do not get the average that you want, do not get sad, do not get demotivated, because this is exactly what is going to happen with 99.99999% of the people that go into university. Everybody has a different path, right? If you see someone getting hundreds from day one, do not envy them. Take inspiration from that. Take inspiration from them and aim to do the same thing. It's also an example that I could kind of bring with acting, right? In acting, there's child actors that have made millions and millions of dollars that are 5 years old, 6 years old. But at the end of the day, there are also people that have started their acting career at the age of 40 or at the age of 50. If someone that is 70 years old goes and says, hey, I want to be like the person that made millions when they were six, they can't do that, right? So they can cry and they can complain, but they can't do that. So you have to take inspiration from what you have and from the person that you are currently in. Take inspiration from yourself. So I see that there's an amazing question here by Vishal. Amadil, is it okay if I answer this question right now, or should I wait till the end to answer all the questions?
You can wait till the end just so we can group
Okay,
everything together.
perfect, perfect. Okay. Also, if anybody else has a question, any question they want, just put it and then I'll answer at the end. Uh, if it's okay, if you can just go back, yeah, I just have to do this last point, and this is very important as well. Join or start a club just because it will look good on your medical school application. I don't know how many times my friend have came up to me and said, Maiwand, hey, I want to create a spine society. And I'm like, yo, like, you do not like anything related to spines, to the heart. You want to be a family doctor. So why do you want to go specific so quick? First year is all about getting comfortable with university. If you do not truly, truly love something and join a club just for the credibility, you will get burnt out and you will not be able to get good grades. Like, for example, for me, I'm currently starting a public speaking club where we're going to go to all of the universities in Ontario. So U of T, Western, U Waterloo, Laurier, even Ontario Tech. And we're going to do public speaking competitions with these universities. We're going to put it all on social media and we're going to see it rise up. But this takes a lot of work. If I do not truly love and am passionate for this, I won't be able to do it because I'm going to get burnt out and the core principle of biomedical sciences will fall behind and I will fail, if not get really, really bad grades. So if you, yes, okay. So what medical school actually cares about? I see that there's a question. I'm going to answer this at the end as well. Thank you guys so much for your questions. If there's any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. So what medical school actually cares about? Now, this goes for first year and all the years after that. I don't know why there's so many things, but it's fine. So having a solid GPA and good research is ultimately very, very important in the quest for getting accepted to a Canadian or a USA medical school. But at the end of the day, even if you have a solid GPA, even if all throughout the 4 years that you have been able to get 99s, to get 90s, to get those 4.0s, you have to be able to do something else. And at the end of the day, the brutal reality of medical school, guys, is that not many people understand this. And I'm sure in the webinars and the information that the amazing Doctor Interested program has taught you across these months, they have orchestrated to you that it is not just GPA and it is not just research. Medical schools are looking for someone that is a unique individual and a special individual. So you have to spend this time in your first year finding passions and becoming absolutely extraordinary in one specific thing. Like my cousin, he's in the first year of med school. He's a world-renowned tennis player, and he was able to put that in his essays. He was able to look at that and to go far with that. And medical schools let him in because he had a GPA, he had research, but he also had a uniqueness to him that not many people had. You have to also utilize this throughout your entire post-secondary academic life, as well as with med school applications. So, for example, with public speaking, I'm sure if you say, oh, I have a TEDx talk, they're going to be like, okay, a lot of people have a TEDx talk. But if you sit there and go, I created a club because of public speaking. I went and I created a coaching program because of public speaking. I went and created a list of all the potential people because of public speaking. They're going to say that not only is this guy passionate about medical, he's passionate about public speaking. And guys, you need public speaking to become a doctor, because how else are you going to be able to communicate with your patients? Remember, med school does not look for just extraordinary students that are unique and special, but they also look for students with high GPAs. So it's also the other way around. If you sit there and have a 1.0 GPA, have a terrible GPA, and have all these extracurriculars, you might get in, but it's better to have an equivalency, an average of both. If you can go to the next slide, please. All right. Now, the final question. I have a lot of questions here. This is very, very good questions. I'm going to go straight to these questions right after. The burning question that everybody needs to know: does first year actually matter for medical school? And the answer to that is a mix of yes and no. So, to me, what I would say is that the first year of university is just for figuring out how to make sure that the second, the third, and the fourth year of university goes smoothly. Because no one is a robot. No one can sit there and get hundreds all throughout their 4 years by not having some sort of a problem throughout those years. Most people will not be able to do that. So, guys, if anybody is in the 12th grade and the 11th grade, listen attentively to what I'm going to say, because it's very, very important, this part right here. In your first year of university, you have to ensure that instead of focusing on the superficial aspects of pre-med, so instead of focusing on, okay, how am I going to get a good grade on this? How am I going to get a good grade on that? Focus obviously on that, but focus on the study techniques. Focus on the Pomodoro method, the Feynman technique, all these different techniques that you have to be able to implement in second, third, and fourth. And the last thing that I want to say is that I know as summer approaches, as winter break approaches, everybody gets this false sense of motivation that everything is going to be okay. And I'm sure that when someone who has not gotten a lot of good grades in their first year comes in second year, goes to summer, right? Goes to Rome, goes to vacation, gets hyped up. Yeah, I'm going to get hundreds, right? If these people do not have techniques in their first year or even in 12th grade, they will not be able to get good grades in their second year and their third year and in their fourth year. And one day, when they're 21 years of age or 22 years of age, they're going to look up and they're going to look around at all their friends that got into medical school, that got into their program, and they will be left stranded because they thought that all of this was a joke. They kind of looked at the superficial aspect of it. But right now in your first year is the opportunity for you to get the core base kind of accredited and stable, and everything else will follow after that. So thank you guys so much for listening to this amazing presentation. Oh yeah, just one more thing. For my Instagram, it's at the public speaking guy one. I'm gonna be answering these questions. If anybody has a question on my Instagram, just message me. I'm also gonna be following you guys back. So just message me on that. It could be related to medical, public speaking, TEDx, all that, and I'll answer it to the best of my capabilities. So thank you guys so much. Thank you for Dr. Interested for giving me the opportunity for this. And thank you to Adil for kind of giving me the opportunity as well. So I see that there's some questions. Adil, just give me the green light and I'll answer these questions
I'm
on
going
your.
to share the attendance first, but thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate that you're willing to share your knowledge with all the youth that are here. For everyone that's part of the certificate program, I have put the attendance in the chat. Please make sure to fill it out within the hour before it closes. But with that, I am going to start reading off a few questions that we got in the chat. So, the first question is, what happens if you fail your entire first year? Will you be kicked out or just have to start all over again?
Okay, so this question is from Vishal. Vishal, thank you so much. And yeah, this is a very, very fundamental point that a lot of seniors or juniors struggle with because it's a fear, it's a fear that I spent all this time focusing, grinding to get into pre-med, to get into university. And if a couple of months go by where I'm not focused, I'm not locked in, can everything go to waste? Is my entire life gonna be ruined? And the answer to this, Vishal, is a combination of yes and no. So in the first year, there's two semesters. There's fall and there's winter. If in the fall semester you don't kind of you have no grasp on academics, you fail every single course, you completely lose your academic life. In the fall semester, if you fail everything, what's going to happen is that someone is going to email you from York or from McMaster, and they're going to put you on something called academic probation. Now, what academic probation is it's a period of time where they're giving you a second chance. They're not just going to sit there and go, okay, you failed one course, get out, 4 years, it's done, everything is gone. No, they're going to put you on academic probation, which means that if you fail one more, I believe it's one more course or one more semester, then after you're on academic probation, what they're going to do is they're going to unfortunately put you on a period of academic withdrawal, which means that if you fail your first year, Vishal, you're going to have to spend 12 months disbarred from university. So basically, these 12 months are a period of time for you to study, for you to maybe change majors, maybe go to something else. But if you fail your first year, 12 months of your time will be going to waste and it will not be good for you. So try to really implement these things in your first semester. If you fail your first semester, it's okay to an extent. But if you fail your first year, 12 months, that's kind of how it goes.
Yep. And then Vishal also asked a follow-up. So you had said to start your own club. Does it specifically have to be related to health?
Yeah, good question again, and absolutely not. You know what? I would say that it would be better to an extent for it not to be related to health because think of how many students are gonna just put it in the perspective of a medical school interviewee or a person that's going to look at your application, right? Like, if, just for me, if I look at an application and I go, okay, this person started a heart club, okay, this person started a heart club, okay, this person started a spine club, all right, but this person started a club that goes to underprivileged and this is like an extreme example, but juvenile homes and brings motivation to them, speaks to them, or helps them, coaches them in life. Guys, just think about it. Which person would that medical school interviewee rather pick? A unique person, a special person, or a person that is just like everybody else? But also saying that if you truly, Vishal, have an unrelenting passion for a specific part of the medical field, and you could show that in your application, you could become one of the greatest, for example, heart clubs in the entirety of Ontario and the entirety of Canada. You can go to schools and speak about it. You could collaborate with UFT and do all these things. Go and do that. But make sure that whatever club you're doing, you do it to the highest of degree, because that's what medical school actually looks for. They do not look for imitation, they look for innovation.
Yep. And then the next person had asked specifically regarding the biomedical program you're in. Is physics a requirement in all 4 years, or is this something you don't have to do?
Mhm. So, great question. Physics in the biomedical sciences program at York is a requirement, but it's not always a requirement. So, what's going to happen is that in your first year, there's going to be a set of, I believe, 32 credits. Now, you could take these 32 credits, most of them either in your second year or your fourth year. It doesn't matter as long as you take them. So, for me, I'm not taking physics this year, but I'm going to have to be taking physics in my second year and probably in my third year and fourth year, as long as I keep the necessary requirements to get my degree. It does not matter when you take it, how you take it, what state of mind you're at when you take it. All that matters is that you take it.
Yep. And then the next question was, you said that we should be an expert in an activity we really like. What do we do to motivate ourselves if we lose interest suddenly?
Beautiful question. I actually love this question. Okay. So let's say that someone is really motivated one day but loses interest, right? And guys, this is not a unique experience. When you are consistently doing something at a high degree, sometimes you're going to look back at yourself and say, why am I doing this, right? There's people that are having so much fun. I go on Snapchat and people are at parties and people are all these things, and I'm sitting here studying, I'm sitting here trying to achieve my dream. Why am I not like those people? Right? I've lost interest for my true passion. And at times of desperation like that, what I could recommend to anybody that is in that sort of kind of frequency is that just understand why you did it in the first place and look at your life with it and without it. Visualize your life. Visualize the fact that there is a reality on this earth, Vishal, that if you want to be a doctor, you could sit there, open a door, and have a patient 40 years of age, 80 years of age that you talk to, that you build an emotional connection with, all through the decisions that you make right now. If you fail, if you pass, it all leads to that one great goal of the emotional connection, of the house you buy. You might meet a person in medical school that could be your husband, your wife. Your life can change based off of the decisions that you take right now. So do not let it go to waste and do not regret. Because just one more thing that I want to add, you could be 60 years old, you could have wanted to be a doctor, and you could look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? I could have done all these things. But because I scrolled on my phone, because I wanted to enjoy my parties or whatever, I didn't. And there's nothing I can do about it. I will never be 40. I will never be 30. My life is a mess. My life is not what I pictured it to be. And Vishal, I'm telling you from experience, from people that have told me, that is the worst thing to ever have in your life. So please work as hard as possible now so you do not regret later.
Yeah. And then the next question that we have is related to your public speaking. So they're asking, how do you find the places where you speak at outside of TEDx and the stuff related to your school? Like, how do you get those roles of speaking?
Beautiful question. And yeah, this is basically what it feels like to be a keynote speaker. So what I do is I either call school. So I say, hey, my name is Maiwand. I'm a TEDx speaker, 17 years of age or 18, just 18. And I'm here and I want to be a keynote speaker for your school. And then what they do is they say, okay, well, email this email. And I email. Make sure to have credentials, make sure to have kind of like an email that you do for every single school and say, hey, for example, Upper Canada College, I would love to be a keynote speaker for your school. Are you hiring? How can I become a keynote speaker? But the one thing that I do want you guys to understand is that this is a grueling, grueling journey. Like I emailed and called 1,000 schools. Guess how many schools I got? Just take a guess in the chat. How many schools paid me to speak at their school after messaging 1,000 schools? If anybody could just put a number in the chat in the next couple of seconds, I would really appreciate it. Adil said 10, Stephanie said 4. Guys, I wish one, one. Out of 1,000 schools, I had one. And the reason for that is because keynote speaking is a very, very hard thing to get into because there's so many keynote speakers. I'm 17 years of age. There's a keynote speaker out there that's 60, that's 50. So why would a school not choose him? Which is why you have to be so, so, so connected. So when you do get that opportunity, make the absolute most of it. Have passion in it. Every single day, look, call schools, try to get a TEDx talk if you haven't, do social media. Just do anything you can to try and get your name out there because keynote speaking is not a game of skill. It is a game of connection. And when you have connection, you have victory. And when you have victory, you have success. And ladies and gentlemen, when you have success, you have your dream life. So
Yep. Thank you so much, Marvin, for coming on today. I know there are a few more questions, so you guys can reach out to him on Instagram or TikTok if your questions didn't get answered today. But with that, we want to thank everyone for coming to the webinar today, and we hope that you have a great rest of your Sunday.
thank you guys so much. Thank you.